Hey everybody, this is Ethanata from Cylinder Gaming and welcome to the Mass Effect Andromeda video review. It is a new era for Mass Effect. It is literally a fresh start for the Andromeda series, as Commander Shepard's story in the Milky Way was left behind following the events in Mass Effect 1. BioWare had the opportunity to give a new beginning with a new story series and evolved gameplay, all powered by EA's flagship Frostbite game engine. Despite the new beginning, the results are mixed. The Andromeda Initiative began its journey between the events of Mass Effect 1 and 2. After departing the Milky Way, over 600 years would pass before the human ark Hyperion arrived in Andromeda. As part of the Pathfinder team, your protagonist, Ryder, is among the first set woken up from the Cairo slumber. Before the ark even makes it to the Nexus hub, or a habitable planet, a strange dark matter phenomenon known as the Scourge ruins everything. The supposed future human homeworld is a complete bust, is occupied by hostile aliens, and Pathfinder Alec Ryder dies. The mantle of human Pathfinder is passed on to the protagonist Ryder, who now faces the monumental task of trying to fix the disaster of an arrival to the new galaxy, establish new habitable outposts, deal with the hostile aliens, befriend new ones, and uncover what caused entire worlds to turn for the worst in only 600 years. It does not help that Ryder has the equivalent leadership experience of a high school student body president. Ryder's overall personality is a rather indecisive one. Ryder is young and inexperienced, which is understandable, but it is abrasively mixed with casual emotional or logical professional personalities and tones. With Mass Effect Andromeda, the Paragon Renegade system from the Shepard era has been changed. There are up to 4 distinct dialogue responses Ryder can give, each with their own tone. BioWare did not blend these traits very well together, as Ryder would make tones that seem awkward, a bit misplaced, or conflicting.
Could be worse.
How? Habitat 7's a bust. We might have started a war with the first aliens we met, and our Pathfinder's dead. This better be rock bottom.
Ryder's personality is likely best summarized as a building leader who tries to be professional and yet have some emotional caring while trying to satisfy an internet witty humor quota. Beyond Pathfinder Ryder, it is a very standard collection of generally agreeable squad mates, characters, and side stories. The conversations are very much standard fare with some moments where that old Mass Effect magic would shine through. The magic is nowhere near as strong as it used to be, but it is still nice. The story arc itself tries too hard for the first few hours to create a grand new opening for Andromeda, and feels caved in. Afterwards, the game opens up, calms down, and settles into a decent Mass Effect plotline to the end. The gameplay has its share of revisions. Combat is more open and closed than Mass Effect 3. It is more open because Ryder can swap classes whenever it suits. As a result, all combat, biotic, and tech abilities are available to level up. It is closed because only 3 powers can be assigned at a time to a class, which feels incredibly constricting. There are power loadouts that can be saved, but having only 3 power abilities to use at a time out of 20 plus available does not feel satisfying. Combat is quite familiar to Mass Effect 3, with shooting elements, level layouts, and enemy behavior being standard for the franchise. Outside of combat, loot and scanner data from the field aids in researching and crafting of new items, armor, and weapons. It is a little unorganized, but works well enough to provide some level of customization for outfitting Ryder. Mass Effect Andromeda brings a little bit of Dragon Age Inquisition design in the form of massive planet areas to explore. Exploration travel comes in the form of the Nomad, which comes with competent driving controls. Andromeda received more of the Inquisition touch with a large load of side missions. Some of these missions will be critical to getting the best ending for the game. A lot of them feel like busy work instead, involving multiple instances of back and forth travel across the Helios cluster just to chase down one person or item. Doing most of these side missions will pad the game out to 60 hours, and feels exhausted doing so. Mass Effect Andromeda brings the franchise to EA's flagship and powerful Frostbite engine, and the results are mixed. It is commendable that Mass Effect had to be recreated in the engine, and it did not turn out to be a colossal disaster. The less humanoid races, the Turians, Solarians, and Krogan, look like slightly improved versions of their counterparts back in the Milky Way. Unfortunately, the more humanoid races, the humans, Asari, and evil bad guys, suffer from loose eyeballs and jaws, resulting in uncanny valley levels of exaggerated mouth movements, twitchy eye darting, and creepy facial expressions. Patch 1.05 corrected things to a degree. The footage in this review flips between pre-patch and post-patch as the patch was released in the middle of the playthrough. Environments and effects look like an evolutionary step forward and is up to date for the times, if a bit underwhelming. The sound design is normal, the dialogue is mixed but acceptable, and the voice talent is okay. The weapon fire pops far louder than almost any other sound effect in the game. The soundtrack, it exists. It is more of an atmospheric movie music soundtrack than a memorable theme, which is disappointing. Mass Effect Andromeda has two different verdicts. Following the success of the Mass Effect trilogy, Andromeda turned out to be a disappointment. The game also turned out okay, but there is a worrying trend. Andromeda's early story can describe the game itself. Before Andromeda even showed up, the game did not get good attention. Now that it is released, the game is not an entire disaster, but if the franchise does not do better and learn, Mass Effect will be deemed irrelevant and fade away. In the end, Mass Effect Andromeda is now a series in distress, but there is still some hope. Despite feeling like a very standard checkbox Mass Effect game, there are very few glaring issues, and there are brief moments of great fun to be had. The score that will be given to Mass Effect Andromeda will be a 7.0 out of 10.